I think we're as good as we're going to get. So let's check out the overlay and let's get going. Making sure I get everybody ready to go, and just making sure I've got everything set up. All right, let's take a peek. Oh, hey, nice. All right. What is going on, everybody? This is Nothing But Bangers, aka MBB, aka Bangers, aka I've got the grand finals of the Global Gym Battles League going down right now. And the cool thing about this is that basically, you know, you've got a different format that a lot of people have been kind of wanting to see. People have really, you know, asked for formats with multiple decks. And this kind of gives the opportunity for something like this to exist, as well as the team element where you do have players competing on teams trying to build the best versions of decks that may or may not be mainstream yet. And, you know, you've got top tier players as well. So this is going to be really fun to kind of watch. But basically, because there is a little bit of money on the line, okay, we do have a little bit of a delay with the games, but we will be able to kind of speed through these games if need be and go ahead and keep up with the gameplay. So basically the format, just in case you're not familiar with it, the format will be the first team to get 10 wins. So if your team gets to 10 wins first, then you are the winner. We will update the scores as the games go by. I've already got the first matchup ready to go, so we can just dive right in. But again, I want to give a big thanks to Virus in particular, as well as the rest of the team, including people like Shiny for helping me get this overlay ready to go, for basically making this video and this live stream possible. And I want to give a big shout out to all of the teams that participated in the GGB League. I obviously was somebody that was planning on participating in the very beginning, and I was actually planning on playing on one of the teams that got to the semifinals. And unfortunately, you know, the way things kind of planned out, I ended up not playing. But after seeing the way things are being ran and seeing, you know, the different teams from all over the world, it definitely seems like something I definitely want to look at being a part of for the next upcoming season. So enough about me, enough of the shout outs. I hope you are ready to lock into some really good gameplay with some really good players. You can check out the roster on the side of the screen as well, and we can dive into the games. I definitely look forward to hearing from you all in the chat. I've got both the chats open, so hopefully I can keep up with that as well. But I think Twitch just rolled an ad, so let me make sure YouTube is going to be fine so we can just go ahead and get into the gameplay. But again, big shout out to those of you that are tuning in. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to Luigi. Shout out to Stolas. Shout out to Bergacci. Shout out to Glamour TV. And shout out to Embraced. Good to see everybody. And again, yeah, Luigi, new pack. I'm ready to see those new packs as well. Ready to see the new set in its entirety. You know, the big question that I have is like, there's no way they do rare candy, right? So again, just letting these ads play out, and we'll get right into the gameplay. All right. Hey, Twitch is going to Twitch, you know. Jeff Bezos got to get his cut. All right, so let's dive into the first game. And it looks like the first game is going to be a matchup between I Love Kieho and Super Peace. So we'll see how this game plays out. I want to make sure that if I pull up chat that the gameplay doesn't stop. So this is perfect. We've got a little bit of a pause here as these games get started. But Yes, looking forward to dropping this. And again, shout out to Rennigan, shout out to Lordbringer. And yeah, hey, I'll try to go ahead and talk about these decks as we get going too. And according to what I have here, it looks like we are going to see a Gyarados EX deck with Manaphy against a Articuno EX deck that is going to be, I'm assuming, 18 trainers. So should be, it could be a fast matchup depending on if this Articuno high rolls. We'll see what's up. But yes, there is a delay. Basically the delay is to avoid any kind of stream sniping because there were concerns by some of the people on the different teams from around the league, and they when there's money on the line, you just want to make sure that everything is as legitimate as can be. So we do have the ability to fast forward through some moments, so we'll do that as well. But yeah. Did you see the Boston Dynamics robot? No, I didn't. That's hilarious, though. I got to see that. Dude, Ray Gun is the GOAT, okay? But we've got an early research, early Pokeball. And what's going on? What's going on? Good to see everybody in the chat. It looks like we're not going to see a Misty turn 1 Donk, so it looks like there's going to be time to potentially set up for the Gyarados player. You got a couple of Leafs in their hand and a Rocky Helmet. I don't know that Rocky Helmet matters too much in this matchup since a lot of the time you are going to be one-hit KOing the Articuno. The big curveball will be if Giant Cape comes down for this Articuno. The clock is already ticking, though, right? You can set up your opponent and make them go for a 1-1-2 prize game, the way the game is looking for the Magikarp player here. And basically, what you're looking at is interesting. Okay. So they're not going to evolve, and they're going to go into the Palkia to make sure that they can get chip damage on this Articuno. Now, this does make something like Sabrina a little bit more live. And obviously, I don't have deck lists, so that's a little bit hard for me to kind of like anticipate the cards. But it's also good in the sense that, like, hey, we do just kind of entertain everything. Yeah, so there's the Sabrina that I was thinking about. And it's going to go ahead and help Kieho secure the first knockout of the game, assuming they don't time out or misclick here. Yes. Okay, so there's the first knockout. So Kieho here is basically preserving the health on the Articuno EX. If there is a double Sabrina, that could be a little bit troublesome. And, that might be one of those times where you do wish you had held the Rocky Helmet. But the thing is, you do have 2 Rocky Helmets, so it's not going to matter too much. The other thing to kind of look at here, too, is Arita is going to be able to heal some of the damage that could potentially be done here very soon. Kieho using the Pokeball there to go ahead and make one less dead card. And basically the reason why they're doing that is to kind of, hey, it does kind of have a little bit of an effect with a card like a Mars. And we don't know if the Palkia Gyarados player is bringing Mars, but that's definitely a potential card that they could have in their list. And so by thinning, taking one card out like a Pokeball there, you would assume that Articuno is going to hit the bench. Okay, so they do have the second Sabrina. So the second Sabrina comes down, and they're going to start putting this Gyarados on a clock, and that's really bad, right? That's really bad. And basically, the reason why this is bad is it's just going to put it's going to put them on a clock, right? It's going to put them on a clock where, hey, it could be a little bit tough here. To overcome, right? Because you're not, even if you leaf and retreat out of here, you're still going to be paying 1 energy. So it's not a great situation to be in. The saving grace would be top decking like a Misty, right? Because they didn't bench the other Articuno. But the thing is, Arita will come in for the clutch hill and push this Gyarados back up to 140. The tricky part is you do have a weird situation where if the Gyarados is able to attack next turn and it discards the energy on the benched Articuno EX that we anticipate seeing, that could actually make it really difficult for Kieho here. So right now, things aren't, they don't look great for the Gyarados Palkia player, but there is a way that they can actually still be very much alive in this game. So there's the Articuno coming down. And again, you do just assume that this Gyarados is going to get hit for 80. And there's the Misty. So the Misty could definitely change this game. If there's some heads on this Misty, then Gyarados discarding. Okay, so there's one heads. Yes. Okay. So yeah, basically the game could be very well over in a couple of turns here now. Okay. So Gyarados is going to have to discard the energy on the bench Articuno. There's really like not another way to win this game. And even if that does happen, because there is a Rocky Helmet on the Articuno in the active, it's going to go to 40 health anyways, right? So that leaf is just, that leaf is pretty, or excuse me, that Rocky Helmet and that Misty are going to be probably the things that are going to cost the Gyarados player the game. And right there, you know, they choose to stall and just say, hey, if you have, you know, if you have Cyrus, you know, you just have it. I probably would have just gone in with the Gyarados and just hoped, you know, that you discard the energy on the bench. But again, that Misty changed the game plan, right? And that and if you do what I just said, then you're just setting up an automatic loss. Because that 40 will be enough from the Articuno on the bench. So now it seems like they're trying to play to their outs, but I don't know. I guess the other out that is alive right now is top decking a Misty for the Palkia player, and then hit, you know, 2 or 3 heads. And then if you can flip heads again on the attack with Palkia, then you could maybe swing the game. Unfortunately, you draw Pokeball here, so that is not looking good, right? Yeah, it looks like there's really not a scenario to get out of this. I mean, obviously you could leaf, put down Manaphy, and try to attach energies here, but again, like this is just going to be very tough to come back from. Yeah, I don't really see a legitimate line here now. That window kind of closed as soon as that Misty hit, right? Okay, so let's update the score here as we go into game 2. So let's see. Here we go. All right, so I believe everything is good on my end. Perfect. Okay, and we've even got the game getting queued up. Nitzer, I don't know if you're one of the members of the teams, but this is the finals for the GGB Team Battle League. Yeah, 18 trainer decks are as good as they've ever been. And, you know, some people may not like that. And, that, you know, that's understandable. But they are definitely as good as they've ever been. Oh, no. Somebody slept through their game. Oh, no. Not like this, bro. Okay, so for this matchup, again, just to kind of go over the rules, the player that lost is able to change their deck into their second deck. The player who won is locked into their deck. So this is going to be 18 trainer from Kieho again. Going into Marshadow and Gallade. So we've got an interesting matchup here. You know, if Sudowoodo is the opener for the fighting player, you feel great about life. But because this is Marshadow, you definitely are not loving this opener from the fighting point of view. And again, like, if you're playing a fighting deck into an 18 trainer deck, if you play Sudowoodo, you're usually feeling pretty good about the matchup. Now, assuming that this deck is not playing the double Hitmonlee, because it does say Marshadow and not Hitmonlee, it makes me assume Sudowoodo is in this deck list. So if there's a way for you to find Sudowoodo in a decently fast time, like that could definitely help. Let's see what this Pokeball digs out. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna be. Yeah, there is 2 Cyrus, so you would assume that that there is a Lee, huh? Yeah, I would assume at least 1 Lee. It could be the 1 Hitmonlee, one Marshadow, 1 Sudowoodo line. I've seen that line in a couple of the decks. I've also seen 1 Hitmonchan, 1 Hitmonlee, and 1 Marshadow. But again, looking at the lineup here that we've got, there is going to be time to set up on the fighting player's side of the field. The question here is, how do you get to your Gallade? You know, it looks like you're going to have the Kirlia, and so that's going to allow you to evolve, but if you don't find another Pokemon, that Pokécoms just ends up being kind of dead, right? So there's a little bit of an issue there. I probably would look at... Okay, so this research definitely changes some things. Let's see what this research comes out with. Okay. All right, so you have successfully curved the Gallade. And now you are forced with the decision: do I put the energy on the Marshadow, or do I make my Gallade 1 turn away from attacking and just plan on pivoting next turn? They're going to choose to go with the Gallade next turn, and they're going to probably... I would probably still not want to Rocky Helmet the active. I would probably still want to Rocky Helmet my Gallade, just because you're going to get more like mileage out of it. Now, you could make the argument that putting an energy on the Marshadow is good because you're able to put that Articuno in 1-shot range of the Gallade. The punishing part would be as if a Misty comes down and flips 1 heads, right? If it flips 1 heads, now you're just at an energy deficit that's like really insurmountable, right? And the math, right, 3, it's going to be 130. So like you're going to be short damage Gallade going into Articuno. That's like the tricky part. So I mean, I would have probably just said, hey, if you flip the heads on Misty, that's my window, right? But I probably would have put the 40 damage on this Articuno. The curveball, though, is if they have Arita, right, then that 40 damage means nothing, and you're still a turn behind, right? So I don't know. There's definitely some arguments back and forth. And then obviously putting the Rocky Helmet on the Marshadow here is going to basically ensure that Articuno is going to be at 140 going into next turn. A valid question here is, does the Articuno even attack? So they're going to Sabrina the Kirlia immediately. And like you're really playing like what card beats me less, right? Because they've already used 2 researches. They have 17 million cards in their hand. And Sabrina is live, Arita is live, Misty is live, and they're probably sitting with all of those cards in their hand, right, at this point in the game. So there's the Hitmonlee. So we do know that it's a Hitmonlee variant, at least as a one of. But Hitmonlee really doesn't do much. So, okay. So they're going to basically go into a little bit of a race here, right? So they're going to go into a little bit of a race here. And they're going to say, hey, my Gallade is going to outpace your Articuno before you're able to get another threat ready to go. So that's an interesting play, too. And you notice there, too, they're playing that Hitmonlee down on the bench. And I would assume that that's for the second Sabrina that could potentially come down. Because we have seen that this deck does play 2 Sabrinas. So if the second Sabrina comes down now, you send in the Hitmonlee and you say that's okay, right? Because then you still have the Marshadow as the punish to that Articuno EX. Now, if you're the Articuno EX player here, things don't look great. Things do not look great at all. The best thing about this game so far for the Articuno player, though, is, hey, my Pokeball ended up getting me my other basic, which is huge because it's not a dead card. Now, sure, you have one more Pokeball that's dead in your hand or in your deck, but that's okay. So here's the Misty. And Misty fails. So assuming they're still going to have one more turn to potentially high roll with Misty and get back in this game. You have to hit for at least 40 here. The question is, do you go all in and hit for 80? Right? Like, I almost think that's well, here we go. They went all in with the Articuno. Okay. So now Articuno player is kind of in a corner. They're going to be at an energy deficit by quite a bit, and Misty is going to be the one thing that can kind of really change this game around. The energy goes down on Marshadow. They're going to Pokecom now and try to find, I guess, another Ralts to start building up potentially another Gallade. So that's the second Hitmonlee, so that we now can confirm this is 2 Hitmonlee and probably 1 Marshadow, as opposed to any kind of Sudowoodo technology. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if this deck continues moving on. Okay. So there's the second Misty. So yeah, you have to hit 2 heads on the Misty or this game is all but over, right? And you know, alternatively, you were going to need Misty no matter what. And Misty flips 2 heads, and now this game is actually unlosable, right? This is going to KO the Gallade, and now the Marshadow will come in, and it will hit. So this is just, I mean, everything was going perfectly for the fighting player. And then just, bam, Misty comes in and turns the game, right? I mean, there really were no other options. And Misty just kind of swung the game. And that's going to eliminate Super Piece from this team battle. So again, once you as a player lose 2 times in a row, that is going to knock you out and bring the next team member in. So let me update the score here, and then we can potentially fast forward here, save some time on everybody's end. Let's make sure that I take care of any ads so they don't play during the games. Okay, we've got that. We've got that. Okay, so hey, if you are seeing ads right now, that's good because now we have time to get the game score set up. And also gives me time to update the next player. This is going to be Nid. Okay, so boom, boom. Looking good, looking good. Alrighty. And after this ad finishes up, which it should be relatively pretty quick. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We should be able to. Okay, so here we go. So now we've got Kieho going up against Nid. And keep in mind, Kieho is still playing the same deck, right? He's locked in. So he's playing the same deck. And this is going to be, it looks like some sort of Arceus and Dialga deck, right? That's what it looks like on my end. And it looks like we've got Articuno squaring off against Dialga in the active. And the Articuno player opens up with a Misty. Let's see how this Misty turns out. Again, Misty is one of those cards that is very polarizing, right? It fails right there. But again, there's no real drawback for a turn one player dropping that Misty. The use of Pokeball there gets that Pokeball, activated. And so now we're in a scenario where, early Mars, obviously probably not ideal, probably not something that they're going to rip. But you do see that Giovanni technology for the Dialga player. You do see Rocky Helmet, and you do see Leaf as well as a potion. And Dialga going second, feels nice, right? However, you do worry about, hey, am I going to find another Pokemon that is going to be able to take advantage of this Dialga ramp, right? Because if you don't find another Pokemon here, it is going to be a little rough. By the way, shout out to Wizzy on the dono there. Appreciate the donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, we got Babarrel coming in, man. Babarrel EX coming in to save the day. Miniature Venusaur. Okay, that is Babarrel EX. All right, it is miniature Venusaur. But again, shout out to Wizzy, a player that I've been able to interview on the channel, on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that, check those out. I get to have some incredible interviews with some of the first place finishers and some of the other people from Top Cut and some of the largest tournaments for Pokemon Pocket. So they did find a basic Pokemon. That Arceus comes down onto the bench, and they're going to rip Mars right here. So the theory behind this Mars is pretty fascinating, right? You're basically using it as a red card and saying, I'm going to disrupt you from potentially having something like a Sabrina, maybe having something like, obviously you used a Pokeball to get your other Articuno. So there, maybe that gets me, maybe you draw the Articuno and the Pokeball now, again, so there's some things that, that Mars can protect you from, and also some ways that Mars can disrupt your opponent. And honestly, you can make the argument, yes, you should hold the Mars. And hey, yeah, that's valid, right? And then, yeah, you've got somebody in the chat saying the Mars was to disrupt the second Articuno coming down. Yeah, so, in the sense that if you think about the cards played so far, you're going ahead and thinning your opponent's hand, taking away options, and you're potentially opening up a way where, hey, if they don't draw that second Articuno, and I can knock out this Articuno, I can donk them right there. So that's kind of the line of thinking that I believe chat is discussing right now and bringing up, and definitely valid, right? Because they're going to take 20 damage for sure on this Rocky Helmet when they swing. So, obviously the only way they could have avoided that is like Sabrina. So they're avoiding taking the 20 damage because they don't want to open themselves up to that 110 damage from the Arceus, right? So you see the Mars definitely having an impact there. And now this is a fascinating scenario because the Articuno player is a little bit on their heels, right? If they're not able to find that second Articuno, this is very dangerous, right? Very dangerous. And unfortunately, you don't have a lot of damage on your opponent's board if you're the 18 trainer Articuno player here, right? You're sitting here looking at like, damn, dude, that's a lot of HP that I'm going to have to overcome. And I've only got an Articuno that's at 140 HP and this Articuno that's at 100 HP. So I'm going to need a Rita. I'm going to need Giant Cape. And I'm going to need probably a Misty to come through at this rate. So you're going to need a lot of things for this 18 trainer deck to find a way to win this game. And it's looking a little dangerous, right? So again, here you're looking at the game state. There's not another Articuno coming down, and that's very worrisome, right? That's very worrisome. And the thing is, like, it's not like they haven't gone through a lot of cards in their deck, right? You know, in hindsight, should they have put the Articuno down on the bench earlier, assuming that Mars is a real card? That's a very good question. It's a very good question. Right here, if you do take the 100 damage from this Dialga here, you're basically conceding the Dialga to get KO'd. And in a game state like this, the 18 trainer Articuno player is going to need a lot of help from their supporters. So by denying this prize right here and going into Arceus, this makes your opponent waste or use their Cyrus as their supporter for turn, and it slows down that turbo for a potential Misty on a second Articuno, right? So that research, I would assume the second Articuno is found by now. If the second Articuno isn't found by now, then like that's, you know, honestly, you just kind of whiffed, right? Because there has to be somewhere around 6 or 7 cards in their deck, and they just whiffed. So yeah, they just whiffed, weren't able to find the second Articuno. The Mars ends up being gigantic, and it looks like the 18 trainer deck is going to receive the first loss of this run. So we've got a game where Mars does a very good job disrupting. 18 trainer player is not able to find that second Articuno. And, you know, there's a lot of questions to reflect on. Should you have ripped the Pokeball that early if you're not putting the Articuno down? And then if you do rip the Pokeball, should you just play the Articuno anyways? And like, that's a tough question to ask. Obviously, hindsight is going to give you one answer versus looking at the game, how it played out in real time, giving you a different answer, right? Because obviously you use the Pokeball, because if you don't use the Pokeball and you draw Articuno, you're like, damn, I just drew a dead card, right? I just drew a dead card, or now my Pokeball's a dead card, right? So, you know, it's you're taking away one dead card and opening yourself up to maybe like never finding the second Articuno. I don't know that it's like a blatant error at all. I think it's just like one of those, if this was open deckless and you knew you're 100% your opponent's playing Mars, maybe you play it differently. But I mean, at the end of the day, you played through 2 researches, you played through, you know, like 5 draw phases, and you're not able to find your second basic. You know, that's probably very unlucky more than anything. So we've got game 2, and remember, Kieho is not eliminated yet, so they're going to have another chance to knock out this Arceus Dialga deck. And it looks like the matchup is going to be Dialga going first, and it looks like we're going to see a mirror match. So this is going to be 2 Dialga Arceus decks head-to-head, and one player opened up Dialga, but they're going first. The other player opened up Mew. And Mew in this matchup, in the mirror match, is a little awkward because without Cape, Arceus can one-hit it. With Cape, you know, Rocky Helmet makes this a little bit difficult for Mew to really get a lot of value. So Mew is a little iffy. And then on the other side, right, like if you do get a chance to use genome hacking to copy the Dialga ramp, you're using a 3 energy attack to copy a 2 energy attack, right? So it's like, it's not always gonna feel great. And what's interesting about this opener is the Dialga player on the bottom, which is going to be Nid, right, decides to just say, I'm going to bench all these Pokemon right away, and I'm just going to not even open up myself to something like a Mars Disruption. And also Sabrina doesn't really do much here because I'm just going to swap in my other Dialga. So we've already got a little bit of a game plan here. And what's interesting about these Arceus Dialga decks is we have seen the ripple effect of a player from a couple of weekends ago where they decided to build their Arceus Dialga deck to take on the mirror match, right? So that's why you do see these 2 copies of Rocky Helmets in a lot of these Arceus Dialga decks. You see Giovanni in some of these Arceus Dialga decks. And I've even seen some Arceus decks playing cards like Blue as well. I don't know that I've seen a lot of successful Arceus Dialga decks playing Blue, but you do see some Arceus decks that are playing other Pokemon play Blue. And all of that is kind of like connected, right? So you see an energy come down to the Dialga in the active. You see it go ahead and attach. And obviously just a pass there because you can't really do anything else. And you are staring down a Dialga that's got an energy on the bench for Kieho and a Arceus that's on the bench as well. So no switching technology here, which is a little concerning, right? Because now that advantage that you had going first and or going second and being able to ramp is now gone, right? Like that's out the window. And now Nid is going to be able to take advantage of getting the first ramp of the game. And that Rocky Helmet is very nice. It's a very nice draw. The question is it the correct time to now use it? And they're going to use it on their active. And so basically now what you're looking at is, okay, if you helmet here and they use something, like a leaf to get out of the active, they can't Sabrina out of the helmet. If I have to use my manual energy attached per turn to retreat and then Sabrina, or obviously Sabrina first, then that gets me out of this helmet, right? I don't have to run right into the helmet, which is kind of nice. And it definitely matters in the mirror. So you see the switch there. I'm assuming if they had Sabrina, they would have played it first in their sequencing. Let's see what goes down here. Because the other telling part is that if you notice where the energies went to Arceus, right? So if as soon as you smack and try to ramp this Dialga, your Dialga is toast, right? Because it's going to be at 130, and now, their Arceus can KO you. So, yeah, that's a tough situation. And then on top of things, they drew the potion. Yeah, this is going to be a very hard game for Kieho to come back and win. And I think somebody asked about does Dialga have cape? There are no capes on the board as of now. The only Pokemon tool that we can see on the game state right now is the Rocky Helmet on the active Dialga. So I think the play is pretty straightforward, right? You just leaf, and then you KO with Arceus. Is there a reason not to do that? I guess there is a reason not to do that. So, I'm not sure what you're scared of there. Because, like, in my eyes, if I leaf, right, I put in the Arceus. I knock out the Dialga. They send in their Arceus. They're not going to be able to trade, right? I guess they're respecting something like Mars would be my guess, right? Maybe that's the case. Maybe they're anticipating Mars, and so they're wanting to get a little bit more set up before they just, head dive into a Mars, bringing them down to one card in hand. That would be my other thought process. Yeah, and then Geo too. Yeah. Yeah, Arceus and then Geo. Okay, that makes sense too. Because at that point, if they Geo and go in with Arceus, then it becomes okay. We're even on prizes, right? And I have Dialga at 3 energy, and you have Arceus at 2 energy, or excuse me, 3 energy. So you've got a little bit of like a bad situation there. If Geo does come down, please don't rope. Please don't rope. Okay. They're not gonna get to select the attach, are they? Did they get to it? So did they get to it choose the energies that they attach there? Because I know that some team members are in the chat. Did they rope out of being able to select where the energies went? Okay. So this Dialga. So now you're in a situation where hopefully your Mars maybe took away their Mars, right? Or maybe it took away something that could have put you in a weird position. And now you're sitting here with pretty much at least 2 attackers for sure that are ready to go, and potentially 3 attackers ready to go. And they're all at full health. So by taking the safe route, you've stayed out of range here from being surprise KO'd, right? The fact that my opponent, again, this is talking from the player that we're watching point of view. The other good thing is that we haven't seen any Rocky helmets on their side of the board. And so because they haven't had any Rocky helmets, we're chilling pretty good over here, right? Now, that Mars ends up taking their supporter for turn, and they choose not to attack with Arceus. So, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Because you have to take advantage of the Mars. And then people in the chat are basically saying that they didn't get to choose where the energies went. I'm not sure that you would have chose the Dialga, but yeah, it went on the Mew, and that made like it just may be a dead card. Yeah, Droopy, you called it, by the way, in the YouTube chat. Droopy called it. So right now, I mean, Cyrus is just a card that really wins the game. I mean, yeah, there's just like there's not really a winning line here in a lot of scenarios, right? Like, I mean, it's going to take a lot of luck. We did have Geo, by the way, so we were hoping for attack. Yeah. Yeah, trying to bait them in, basically. Yeah, it felt like Nid right here in this matchup did a very good job of just staying out of harm's way, saying, I've got the advantage here. There's no need for me to take any sort of greedy line, right? And like the way that I look at that is sometimes in this game, there are lines that you can take that are very aggressive, but they can be punished they can be punished, right? And then there are other times when you can take a more safe line that doesn't expose you to now you can lose the game, right? So it's like I can win faster with this line, or I can make the play that it's not going to win me the game right away, but it's going to put me in a position where I can't lose the game. And I think that's a very big issue for a lot of players, is sometimes they find themselves wanting to win the game right away, and that opens the door for these one of top decks or these one of outers that just swing the game momentum, and now they went from being firmly in control to, oh wow, I just somehow lost that game, right? But yeah, that there was pretty much nothing that Kieho could do here. Just a very well played game. Like I said, just staying out of harm's way, doing damage, respecting Mars, and then getting to a point in the game where, ultimately there wasn't a legitimate shot that they could lose the game. So very well done there. Nid taking home the win. So Kieho is now eliminated. So both teams have eliminated one player. So they've each eliminated one player. The score is officially tied, and we will be moving into the next game. So hope you all are enjoying this high-level play. By the way, let's make sure no ads. Let's get these out of the way. And then we will be going into the next round. Oops. By the way, just want to give a big shout out again to Virus, Shiny, and the rest of the team that is over there helping make sure that GGB runs smoothly. They've been a class act since I've gotten to interact with them, and they help set up a lot of this, what you see on the screen here. Typically, if you've seen my layouts when I live stream, I'm not anywhere as fancy with some of these layouts and some of these graphics. So very cool to see that. And again, just two very good teams. I know Mia's Stardust Princesses have a lot of great players on their teams. I've gotten to play some of these players. I believe I actually played against some of these people in a scrimmage when I was still with the Pocket Chefs. And then I actually got to play against Spore Venom in a tournament as well. Spore Venom, one of the first players to really get a lot of success with Charizard. So let's try to fast forward this a little bit. And Spore Venom, it's good to see you, man. I know that you were all over the tournament scene for the first few months for a while, and hadn't gotten a chance to see your name as often. So really good to see some familiar names. And again, one of the things that I tried to really push in my last video where I talked about, the GGB League is a lot of top players are on a team. And, not only does it help you build connections, it helps you improve as a player because it puts you in connection with other players. And I think that every player on these teams would say, I got better playing with my team. And also, they hopefully also contributed some good things to their team. So it's like a symbiotic relationship, right? So again, I think it's very good for the game, very good for the top level players. And I hope to see not only the GGB League succeed, I hope to see other leagues continue and have some good success. So it looks like we're going into a Dialga Arceus matchup versus Gallade Hitmonlee. Let me update the name as well up here while I was yapping. I did not upload or update the player from Mia's Stardust Princesses, but we got it updated now. So let's load up and let's look into it. So we've got not a great opener when you talk about opening up with Ralts, but at least they are going second. So in this scenario, it's always nice to stare down a Dialga, and at least you're going second. Except if you're from Bottle Brawlers and we don't talk in voice chat. Oh man, you got to talk in voice chat. Like that helps. That helps so much. I remember when I scrimmaged with the Pocket Chefs against me as Stardust Princesses. We had a lot of good stuff shared in the chat. And like, it's also good because some people are really good with specific decks and they're able to like kind of give their insight. That really can help with some players that maybe are just picking up a deck for the first time, but they know that, hey, I need to play this because it's a really good deck. Looks like we've got Hitmonlee, Marshadow coming down on the bench. And it looks like Ralts is going to teleport out of the active here. I just want to see Magikarp play. And then, yeah, GGB format. Yeah, you're basically going up against like 5 brains at once in a lot of cases, right? In the ideal situation. Nid opened Dialga 3 times in a row. Jeez. Let's see. I opened Shaman like 90% of the time. That's tough. We even have someone who doesn't speak English at all, which we only found out halfway through the season. That's awesome. That's awesome. My team is not skilled to open Dialga, so I had to do it for him. Classic. So Hitmonlee is going to come down and start sniping as it gets into the active. It's got a Rocky helmet on it. So you do have a little bit of chip damage that's going to pile up on this Dialga and put it into range, potentially of something like a Gallade. But with Shaman on the board, that damage will be mitigated a little bit. Right now you're staring down a potential Gallade on curve, which is a little worrisome. And then also that Marshadow has no energy, so that's kind of decent. But there's a lot of landmines that you're going to have to navigate if you're the Dialga Arceus player here, right? Like, you don't want to see that Gallade come down. You can't really Mars here because, like, you're just gambling. But they seem to be going for a 2-turn clock on this Hitmonlee, right? Because they have the double Geo. So you've got this energy that's going to ramp. I would assume it goes on the Arceus, but if it were to go on the Mew, you do have, I guess you don't lose as hard to Gallade. And then the other thing is because of the psychic weakness for Gallade, Mew can maybe do quite a bit of damage depending on how much damage Gallade ends up having before it comes into the active, or before it lines up with Mew EX. So there's a little bit of potential future footsies there. And the other thing about this is too, let's just say that this Dialga, because like the thing is, this Dialga should get to attack one more time no matter what happens, right? Like no matter what happened, like if I chose to ramp the Arceus, I believe the Dialga is almost guaranteed to get another attack in. Because I don't think that Sabrina would be a card that they would use here. And obviously Cyrus is dead. But, it's hard to kind of predict what is in the hand. So by putting that Ralts down, in my opinion, that signals that Gallade is in hand. And the reason why that signals Gallade is in hand is I believe you would hold the Ralts for Pokemon communication. So that way you can at least have a better chance. Like, basically, it keeps your Pokemon communication alive, right? YouTube chat, kick Mew for sure. He's the biggest threat. Yeah, like, yeah, probably. I probably would have kicked the Mew also, because that's where they decided to ramp the energy. That's probably where I would have gone. Now, where this energy goes, it can't go on Dialga, right? If it goes on Dialga, you're just asking to get punished, right? There's a lot of ways that it could get punished there, right? Gallade Giovanni, just Gallade, right? I think, yeah, just Gallade would be enough. And if you go ahead, okay, so they're going to ramp the Arceus here. But Mew gets one hit with Gallade. So they're saying if the energy goes on Mew and you don't kick the Mew, you know that Gallade can one-shot the Mew. I think the only issue with that is a card like Giant Cape pushing it out of the threshold. Right? Like that would be, but again, like you just think about this Dialga Arceus deck, like do they have room for Giant Cape, right? They're probably playing Helmets over Cape. So that's valid, right? So the Cyrus comes down and it's going to snipe. Oh, yeah. So that's the other line, right? The other line is you put the 30 on Arceus because even with the Shaman Hill, it's going to stay in range of Marshadow being able to one-hit KO it. So now Mew is going to be able to trade. And you're just worried about... Now you're just worried about... You're just worried about Gallade, right? Like, I mean, there was no real way to protect yourself from the Gallade here. Because there's no Cape, right? There's no blue. So it looks like... Yeah, and even if you had Cape or blue, Gallade is just going to smash you because of that Rocky Helmet. So there really was no way to avoid this, right? Yeah, so if there's Gallade, it's just kind of game, right? So 9 cards total. Gallade just wins. Yeah, I mean, just kind of a rock and a hard spot, right? But yeah, if you're thinking like turns ahead, the Hitmonlee hitting the Arceus and then setting up Cyrus definitely lines up. The thing is here, like if you had Gallade, you're probably slamming it down. And unfortunately, there's no Gallade at that time. Is the bottom player points cutoff? Yeah, I think it's cut off on the screen, like where they screen recorded it. They currently have 2 points. So it's 2 points individually. Okay, so they're going to switch in here. You can't really put an energy on this Dialga, can you? Wow. Man, that Mars is tough too, because like... Let's see, 2 energy. So 3 energy would push it. Wouldn't it be 130 and put you in range of Giovanni? That would be my only like scared part. Okay, so they're saying for the Gallade player to win now, he needs specific combo of Gallade and Cyrus. That's why we use Mars here and put energy on Dialga. Okay, yeah, they got him. Wow. Yeah, that was man, that was a pretty back and forth game there too. So pretty tough situation to be in there. For a moment, it looked like Hannah was gonna be able to come away with that one, but it looks like whiffing on Gallade ended up being like just game losing, right? Like that was kind of game losing. And then too, yeah, Chad is mentioning Gallade and Geo. The only thing is I don't know if the Gallade deck has room for Geo, right? Like I don't know that many lists have room for it. So yeah, and Mars basically saying, hey, you got to draw your exact 2-card combo makes a lot of sense, right? Because they get one for the Mars and then one for their draw phase. Okay, we've got the second game coming up, so it's 2-3. Sun Clan taking the advantage. No Dialga opener, and it looks like a mirror match. So it looks like we've got a mirror match. So Hannah and Nid both bringing Arceus Dialga. One player opens Dialga. One person opens up Arceus. And yeah, I looking back, hindsight, chat's kind of talking about it on Twitch. You know, you did open the window up a little bit for like that Giovanni in Gallade, but again, like just the idea of Gallade playing Giovanni is a little bit outstretched. You know, it's a little bit of a reach, but you know, you can make the argument you didn't even have to put yourself in that situation, which is like that's a decent point to make, you know. 4 out of 9 draws outs. Yeah, so I'm guessing like Pokecoms was considered an out there, right? So early Mars comes down to Disrupt. And I mean, yeah, the good Mars, or yeah, the Mars ends up giving some pretty good resources to Nid right here. And I mean, like, you definitely see the idea of what they're trying to do. They're just trying to hopefully slow down, you know, the Dialga coming in and ramping enough to basically swing the momentum of the game. Yeah, I mean, you see the way this game is playing out, and immediately you're just kind of looking at the game state and you're saying, man, this is tough. Yeah, by the way, with only 2 cards to work with, Pokecoms in a Pokemon leaves you with like no cards after you evolve to Gallade. So you wouldn't even have the Giovanni or the Cyrus, right? So that's definitely one thing that definitely matters there in that past game. By the way, I'm sorry, Twitch, if you just got to add there. You didn't miss much. I didn't even control that, okay? I didn't control that. And Dum Dum, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. So, yeah, I mean, you're just a turn behind, and it seems like it's going to be nearly impossible to come back, right? Like, I know we're super early in this game, but just looking at the game state, I mean, this is like almost nightmarish, right? I just can't take another ad. I'm sorry, bud. I am sorry. Yeah, I didn't even run that one. Okay, I try to run them in between the games. So like after somebody gets eliminated, that's when I try to do it. And usually it's only like one per hour or so. I'm surprised it happened. Yeah, I mean, like, what do you even do here, right? Because like, okay, the good thing is they had potion to keep that Dialga out of one-shot range unless there's Giovanni, right? The bad part is now, I mean, you're kind of opening yourself up to, like, if they have something like their own potion, that kind of puts you a little behind. If they have a Rocky helmet, that kind of puts you behind. But I mean, like, they're the only way that you're going to win right here is just kind of fighting back, right? Because now you might be able to get a knockout on their Dialga. But you have to really measure right here. Is it worth it? If you leaf into your Arceus and max your bench and, you know, take this knockout, you're kind of opening yourself up to get revenge KO'd. And all you have left is a damaged Dialga. So this is a weird footsie's position, right? So the Shaman is there. That's huge. So the Shaman is going to push you back up to 120. I don't think that you would have a second potion. So they're going to choose to leaf into the Arceus. The Arceus is going to get an energy, and they're going to collect their 2 points right now. So they're basically saying, hey, you're going to either have Mars or you're going to have Giovanni in a full bench. But I have a window, and this is my window, right? My window is right now. If you don't have 2 bench Pokemon and Giovanni, I have a chance to steal this game, I believe is what Hannah is thinking. Right? You have to have multiple pieces to win right here. And that's going to be difficult. Ooh, you can't put the energy there, right? If anything, the energy has to go on the bench, right? Even because, like, okay. So there's one bench Pokemon. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. Man, Rocky Helmet just showing up too late to really make an impact on the game. I think you fire the Mars right here too, right? I mean, if you don't use it now, you're never going to use it, is what I would assume. But they're going to hold it. They just lose right here? Yeah, that's game. Yeah, I mean, if you're ever going to rip Mars, I think you have to rip it right there. Man, so there was so much momentum right there for Nids, and it just, you know, swings, right? And again, like, that window of opportunity where, like, you make them have the out is sometimes sometimes that's the best play, right? Sometimes you just have to say, look, if you have the out, you have the out. I can't do anything, but I'm going to make you have the out and put you in a position where if you don't get the out, then I'm just going to win right here. So Nid loses with their first deck. They still have a whole other deck that they can bring. So they're going to do that. And I'm going to try to fast forward this just a little bit. Oh, no, too far. Here we go. We're back. By the way, thank you all for taking time out of your day to come hang out and come chill. And again, big shout out to the GGB League for making this stream possible and, you know, getting everything together. I'm just here yapping. But we've got a Palkia 18 trainer deck going up against Arceus Dialga. Remember, Hannah is locked into that Arceus Dialga deck. And we're starting off with a Misty on this Palkia. The Manaphy coin. There's 1 heads, 2 heads, 3 heads. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. This game might be really quick. Oh, no. By the way, yeah, hey, thank you, Captain. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping that more there now that we've done it, it becomes a little bit easier to do in the future. That would be a really good scenario. And I hope that this league encourages more players to really look into this style of playing the game, right? Because, like, again, man, sitting there for 8 hours on a tournament is just like, oof. That's a long grind. But again, like, a big shout out to all the organizers of those tournaments too. They do a great job running those tournaments a lot of the time, especially a few of the big players that have been doing it for a while. Yeah, I mean, what do you even do here? What's your response to Misty flipping 3 heads turn 1? What do you even do here, right? Like, I mean, you pretty much. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know how much that potion changes the math. Like, how does the potion change math here? Granted, the flip side of that is potion doesn't do anything for my Mew because it's just going to get one shot by that ultimate attack if it comes down. Now, right here, there's an interesting question here. If you Sabrina, you are resetting the energy count and making it kind of 1-to-1, right? If you don't Sabrina, you can collect a knockout now. Potion wants to thin the deck in case of red card, Mars or red card. Okay, makes sense. Op Squad. So this was literally like earlier today. Like this was maybe an hour ago, 2 hours ago, and the last matches are actually like in another file. So I'm gonna have to like take a second when we get to that point and get the new file and plug it in. I mean, so I think the final just wrapped up maybe an hour ago, maybe 45 minutes ago. Like the last game. But by the way, if you're looking for a team to join, 100% I would hop in that Discord for the GGB League. And, you know, there might even be a recruit board where you can kind of post who you are, maybe some of the decks that you have or cards that you have, maybe some of the past tournament results. I think that would probably be the best way to really get your name out there if maybe you're a little bit of an unknown. And then if you do know people in the community, you can reach out to some of them in direct messages or private messages and talk to them about, hey, are you on a team? I'm looking to get into one. So there's a lot of things you can do there to potentially get your foot in the door. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is not, you know, the GGB League is probably the most known league that is doing this, but I do think that there are other leagues that are popping up now. Like I think I saw one earlier for the Japanese players because there's a little bit of a law that prevents players in Japan from like collecting prize support from some of these tournaments. So like, yeah, they have to kind of like, you know, skirt around that and like kind of operate differently. But just to look at the current game state, we see a Potion come down. We see Rocky Helmet come down on the Mew. We do see a top deck Misty. Oh, no. Oh, no. Like, Misty has the chance to just completely flop the game on the head. But here's the risk with Misty, though. If you play Misty on the active and you only roll like 2 heads, or excuse me, 1 heads, it's not very good. Yeah, so like if that Misty would have landed on the active Pokemon, then it would have been like a wasted Misty because they would have just genome hacking and capped the Palkia that's in the active. The way that it's set up now, and here's the bad part, they're going to be able to consecutively genome hacking. So you're going to need Hill, and you're going to need a little bit of favor here. Okay, so Mars comes down and disrupts the Hill, potentially. So now, again, Mew is not going to discard anything. So because of that, this Palkia is going to have chip damage on it. And they drew 2 Hill cards, which is hilarious. Okay, so yeah, the way that it's looking is genome hacking is going to copy, right? But because there's no bench Pokemon, yeah, GGB League is what it's called. Because there's no bench Pokemon for the Palkia player. And so technically, like, I believe the game is going to classify this as a victory for the Dialga player, right? And now Sabrina doesn't win them the game either, right? Like that Dialga cape puts Palkia, it basically puts the Dialga out of range. So the fact that they drew 2 Hill cards was just devastating, right? I mean, like, damn, dude. Like, you could get away with them drawing 1 Hill card. They drew back-to-back healing cards. Like, that's just, oof. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn. I mean, you know, like, that's just a tough break, right? Like, I mean, that's the perfect time to rip the Mars. And unfortunately, for Mia's Stardust princesses, like, they just happen to draw Arita into Potion, right? Like, you could get away with them drawing just 1 Arita, 1 Potion, and you would still be, like, relatively fine, right? But the fact that they drew back-to-back, like, out of 3 cards, just pushes the game out of reach, and that's going to eliminate Hannah. And now we have a new challenger entering the arena. So let's get this updated. YouTube, you may see a bit of an ad here. Let me make sure I just take care of this right now before we go into this next match. Okay, we should be good. Okay, we should be good. So by the time the game starts, we should be good to go on Twitch as well. Yeah, double Hill, double Misty's hitting, double Misty's hitting. You know, that's just a string of unfortunate events that keeps this Palkia 18 trainer card / deck alive. I mean, it's just not really much you could do there. I mean, granted, like if you are Hannah in that scenario, you opened up with Arceus and Mew, and you still almost won that game. I mean, and like you can't really say that that's like a bad effort, right? Like that's an incredible effort if you think about the circumstances of what just happened. So again, just a heck of a game. Some unfortunate turns of events there. Let me see if I can fast forward just a squeeze. Okay, here we go. We are ready to go. Score should be updated. I am looking at it. Three up to this point. 1, 2, 3, 4 up to this point. All right, perfect. Yes, score is good to go. Ads are out of the way. And yeah, chat's talking about it. Yeah, the two hills in a row is just like, damn, dude. Like I could have survived one hill. I mean, that's, if you're a poker fan, that's like hitting runner, right? I mean, that's a tough one to overcome. Looking at this current game, so we do have a Palkia into a Dialga. No Misty shenanigans. And just a little bit of time passing here. I think that, yeah, they're probably just going to end up passing. I mean, I guess the question could be something like a Mars right here. Just trying to take away resources potentially. But I'm just going to pass. Yeah, I mean, you just rip the Pokeball here, get that last basic out of the deck. Slamming the Palkia down. I mean, so now, yeah, you just build the Palkia in the back and just apply 30 a turn, right? And what this is basically doing is like keeping you, like you have your threat in the front, but you also have like your finisher in the back. It's kind of like the way that this is being played. So the Dialga is going to have a ramping target, but it's going to be at 90 health. So like it's already, it's on a little bit of a clock. But the thing is, like, Palkia is not going to have like 150s to just dish out consistently unless like Misty just saves the day. So, you know, you're fine with the fact that you've got, 90 HP, but you are hoping for stuff like Shaman, obviously to draw your potions. You're hoping that those cards can definitely show up. And you probably do want to put Pokemon down on your bench right now to avoid like a Mars disruption where now you don't have the basics to really go in with Arceus. So I could see an argument right now for maxing the bench, but that is not going to be the play. So they're going to keep one spot open on the bench. So Arita is an option. Sabrina, not necessarily an option. You could, obviously, but I don't really need to. The Arita is going to push you to 150 as opposed to the potion, which would have pushed them to 140, right? I believe that was the case. Actually, no. Would potion have done the same thing? Hold on. No. Potion would have pushed him to 140. And like 140 would put you in range of Giovanni and Arceus. So you definitely gotta maneuver around that. You want to see Mew in this matchup very badly. Yeah, Mew into Palkia EX is a lot better than pretty much every other attacker. So you've got 150 HP on both your Pokemon. 5 cards in hand, a cape, a potion, and a Cyrus. So, you've got some tools to work with. The Arceus Dialga player is kind of like, on a little bit, their Dialga's on a little bit of a clock. And like the thing is too, as soon as you give up one prize, as soon as you give up, any knockout, now you got to be really worried about the 150 from Palkia. And so like that's kind of like the other scary part of what's going on right now. So if you okay, so you have the research here. So yeah, potion and cape would put you out of range out of the Arceus Giovanni technology, and that's probably going to be a very solid option. And like hey, it's probably not a bad decision to potion and cape. Yeah, so that's what they're going to end up doing here. And they're just setting up the Palkia in the back. Yeah, you could Rocky Helmet here, and that's going to kind of help you play around Sabrina, and like it's still going to leave them vulnerable. So, I don't know that I would be in a hurry to give up this knockout from Dialga. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how they maneuver out of the active. Because like I almost 100% don't want to give up this knockout. So I either want to heal or I think I want to retreat. I think I have to deny the prize. Because like if I don't, I pretty much just like lose, right? I mean, it's going to be very hard to win the game here. Okay, so Sabrina comes down. And like right here, if you decide to swing for 100, your Dialga is just sitting there ready to get KO'd, and then Palkia finishes the job on the other Pokemon. So there's one heal. There's the cape. So they're basically saying you're going to need... Oh, please get the attack off. Okay, they got the attack. Okay, so they go to 50 HP. Yeah, so Sabrina is going to come down. They're going to KO whatever comes in. And then basically, that Dialga is like a sitting duck. Yeah, I don't know that there was another option like outside of like getting Sabrina earlier, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe an earlier Sabrina would have been able to make a difference in the game. But just like, for people still trying to learn how to play, 18 trainers, like, yeah, typically you want to have, that Palkia in the front doing that 30. And then the Palkia in the back is like your finisher, like typically. That Mars, very, very huge Mars. I mean, that's the only way they stay in the game, right? That's the only way they stay in the game. Because now Mars takes away a potential Cyrus or Sabrina. So basically the outs are Cyrus or Sabrina or Misty. And you're going to survive at least one more turn after this. So you still have another turn to try and get there. Yeah, honestly, the Giovanni is just not going to matter, right? Five cards left in deck. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to come down to Cyrus or Misty. Like that's what you need to win this game, right? Yep. I don't know that I don't know that there's really like other. I don't know that there's really other lines. Yo, what's going on, Shiny? All right, so here we go. This is it. Oof. Okay, well, the window's open. The window is open, Misty. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oof. Man. There's like 17 heads. They only needed one. They got like 18. Damn. 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 I mean, you do everything you can to put yourself in a situation to win the game, and Misty just comes in and saves the day. I mean, that's just brutal, right? Like, I mean, but that's kind of what Misty does, man. Like, it's Misty is just one of those cards where, like, if you can find a deck that it wins more games because of Misty, but it also can win on its own, like, that's the perfect combination. And so far, for the first time in Pokemon Pocket, we now have like a legitimate, you have 18 cards that you can play that you don't just go all in with Misty, but obviously it's going to just auto win you some games. And that's a great scenario of where, like, hey, Misty didn't do much until the very end. Like, you use it as a trump card, right? Man. Yeah, 3 out of 3 hits, 11 heads. Damn. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, literally just not much you can do, right? Okay, we've got another game coming up. So Nid has now won 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row. Okay, so this is going to be Battle of the 18 trainer decks. Palkia versus Articuno. So here we go. Just ban Misty from tournaments. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of players that would really like that. Okay, I thought he was about to do it again. I thought Nid was about to do it again. Only 1 heads, though. Only 1 heads. So they're going to get a first turn attack in. And, like, in this matchup, like, that's so bad for the Articuno player because you're going second. You're like, hey, at least I'm going second, right? And then they flip heads and hit you for 30 already. You're staring down 60 damage before you can deal 40. So hopefully you have Rocky Helmet. Hopefully you have Arita. Those are probably some of the best cards, right? It's probably the best cards that you can find. Yeah, you're just gonna rip this research here, and probably start building the Palkia in the back, right? I mean, this Palkia in the active is already got a little bit of a clock, right? Granted, it's like a 3-turn clock now, but it's still a clock. And it just so happens that in 3 turns, your Palkia on the bench would be ready to finish off whatever is out there. Man, this is tough, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah, 4 for 4 Misty heads now. Yeah, you're right. Dude, I have paused the ads. I thought I ran the ads for the hour. I only have to run 1 an hour. I thought I already ran it. Rip. Sorry about that. I'm doing my best, okay? I'm doing my best. I thought I was manually controlling them. Oh my God. Another Misty. Another heads. I've got another screen that has to go through the ads, and I didn't see it pop up yet. But I wasn't looking at that screen, so I might have just missed it. I try to run them in between games. So for some reason, Twitch is being a little weird. Man, dude, I mean, you definitely need to flip heads right here. Flip some heads right here. By the way, thank you for the gifted sub. Hopefully, Renegade can go ahead and just see no more ads. Again, I'm trying to run them in between people getting eliminated. Let's see. Did that? Oh man, they can't get one heads. So the cape goes on the Articuno on the bench. Do you start chipping here? Yeah, I guess Arita is probably better than Sabrina here, right? Because if you Sabrina and you don't have a heal, then now your Palkia is kind of like exposed and can get one shot by a blizzard. Now, you either have to demonstrate supreme patience here or just go in. They're going to choose to go in. Okay, so this Articuno is going to be able to deal 40, put it at 70, and then if there's no heal, potentially get the knockout. The problem is by the time this Articuno deals with this Palkia in the active, the other Palkia is going to be ready to go. So like, you know what I mean? Like, what can you really do here? So Sabrina's a dead card. Right? Like Cyrus, Sabrina, they're all dead cards now. Pokeball is a dead card. Research is most doubtedly not a dead card. You can't really deny the prize. Yeah, so you just hit. They're going to blizzard. But it's not going to give you enough time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you would have had enough time no matter what. Yeah, I think that's probably the right line. So this Palkia is going to come in. It's not going to be ready to deal 150 yet, but basically this is a one-turn clock. And like there's no like avoiding it, right? Like you would need Arita. That's the window. You probably Giovanni here. So that way if next turn, if you need to draw, like Giovanni right here puts them at 110, right? So they would need Arita and another hill. On the flip side, if you just hit for 30 here, if they Arita, they're going to go to 160 and you still have the Giovanni for game. Right? So like, yeah, I mean the only reason why it would matter is if they had Arita like double hill, right? Because like if it got But again, like 160 is the max, right? 160 is the max. It can't go to 170. So yeah, there's nothing there. Yeah, that's right. All of that's correct. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, the Misty obviously mattered. And then, they're just a turn too late to really make a difference there. But the Misty definitely mattered there. So Misty is proving to have a very big impact. And again, you just look at the decks that have been brought so far. Let me run through the decks that have been brought so far. Let me make sure Twitch is not going to run another ad. You recently ran an ad. 7 minutes since the last ad. Huh. By the way, if you come in, I think it's going to give you an ad, like when you first come in. I think that might be what some people are experiencing too. So just to run through the decks that we've seen played so far. Articuno EX and Gyarados Manaphy. Articuno EX and Gallade and Marshadow. Articuno EX and Dialga Arceus. And then we had a Gallade versus Dialga Arceus. And we've had Palkia, 18 trainer, right? So those are the decks that we've seen. So Articuno, Gyarados, and Manaphy. Gallade, Dialga Arceus, and Palkia 18 trainer. So we've seen 5 different decks so far. And all of these games have been pretty, relatively close. Obviously, Misty has swung a few games. And then the other thing to think about here is, right now, that just eliminated Spore Venom. So now it's GQQQ. QQQ. So let me update the name up here. Let's see. Alrighty. So there's already been 3 players eliminated on one team and only 1 player eliminated on the other. Okay, so the race to 10 is heating up. And right now, Sun Clan, at the state of the matches right now, is slightly ahead. Looking at this opener, you've got Palkia and Dialga squaring off in the active. So it looks like we're going to see GQQQ_ bringing a Dialga Arceus deck. So again, we've seen nothing but pretty much top tier decks. Interestingly enough, we have not seen a Rampardos deck. So instead of Rampardos, people have chosen to bring Gallade and Hitmonlee. So take that for what you will. But, hey, there it is. Mars could have been scary too. Yeah, for sure. So right now, Sun Clan in pretty good control. Nid has done a great job taking momentum for the Sun Clan, knocking out 3 players in that span by themselves, and giving some good momentum to their team. So the question is, can Mia's Stardust Princesses stem this momentum? Missy is a bit annoying in terms of gameplay, but it's kind of too strong right now with Water 18 trainer to be ignored. Yeah, I mean, it's just that, it was inevitable that we were going to get better trainer cards as well as eventually better water Pokemon, right? So, it was just kind of inevitable, that was going to happen. And when that happens, Misty is going to be an even bigger problem than it was when we first encountered it all the way up into Space-Time Smackdown, right? So, with the addition of Arita, with the addition of Mars, dude, there's just so many good cards that it can play, right? If you think about the alternatives, and Pokemon tools, if you think about the alternatives, if you compare these 18 trainer deck lists to previous 18 trainer deck lists from other formats, there's just notable upgrades. You know what I'm saying? There's just notable upgrades from what we've seen in the past with these 18 trainer decks to what we have now. And that's ultimately a big deal, right? And the scary part is for the future is like, hey man, they're just going to get better. Like other 18 trainer decks are going to get better. But again, like having the access to something like a Misty is just huge, right? So we'll have to wait and see how other energy accelerating cards get printed, right? Like if there's a not necessarily a Misty clone, but if there's like other cards that generate energy via supporter, that's going to also boost other 18 trainer decks. So very tough. Does Rampardos have a better 18 trainer matchup than Gallade? I mean, Sudowoodo is kind of nice. I think it just comes down to whether or not they play Sudowoodo. Because like Sudowoodo is very nice. Because you can hopefully like chip enough to like trade 1 for 2. But I want to say, you know, looking at the game, by the way, Dialga ramped the Arceus on the bench. Palkia is being built on the bench, and then a Palkia in the active. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if you get to Rampardos, like you're probably going to do okay in that matchup. But like to me, Sudowoodo being able to like trade pressure matters in the early game. And then obviously finding Rampardos can really turn that game as well. And it might be that Rampardos versus Articuno is a better matchup for Rampardos than Rampardos versus Palkia. Because the other thing to consider is like that Rampardos deck does not enjoy seeing stuff like Rocky Helmet, right? So like if you go into Rocky Helmet, even if you open Sudowoodo, it's kind of like I'm not going to get as much value out of my Sudowoodo because of this Rocky Helmet. So, can you add the scores of the players somehow? Like individually? Sabrina comes down trying to get out of that Rocky Helmet. Let's see what we got. We got Cyrus coming down for the Dialga on the bench. So they're going to try to strand that Dialga. They're going to try to strand that Dialga, right? And just hope that they don't have Leaf. If they don't have Leaf, then maybe they can mount a little bit of a comeback. As far as individual scores, might be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but let me see what I can do. I think this game might be relatively quick. During the in-between break, let me see if I can take care of that. Because like it is a little tight for space, but I have the scores right here, so. Okay, looking at this game state, I mean, Misty could be an absolute hero here, but like, you just feel really bad using Misty on the active Pokemon right here. Yeah, 4 heads on the bench wins, yeah. By the way, YouTube chat, in this case, I would have never shown the Pokeball because opponent would never play Mars and opponent would have then more, like less info about your cards. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point for sure. Tails, OMG. Okay, so Dialga is going to ramp right here and put that Palkia at 10 HP. Damn. Yeah, I mean, you can't even really like you still can't really do anything. I think what GQQQ is doing is like they're drawing the game out, getting to a point where like they can't lose the game. I want to say like that's probably what they're doing as opposed to trying to hurry up and get the game over with quicker. That would probably be my biggest like explanation for the way that it played out. And I don't necessarily think that that's incorrect. Yeah, you have the cape. Do you have the helmet? Hmm. Yeah, I guess the question here is if you have helmet, do you put helmet down on the active? And they're playing two capes, so they may not even be playing two helmets, right? So that's the other thing to think about. So Dialga ready to go, Arceus ready to go, Dialga in the active, just about ready to go, but gonna get KO'd here. And basically you're just kind of hoping you're just kind of hoping that they don't have the Giovanni here. Right? Uh-oh, did they get their swag back? Hey, one heads. What, they're going to be one energy short, right? Going to be one energy short. Yeah, because right here, you do have the Cyrus in hand, but if they have the benched Pokemon as well as the Giovanni, this game is pretty much wrapped up. Oh, hey, you know what? You're right. I can't count either. That is 3 energy. So they're going to have one more energy that they can attach. Yeah, and it looks like if Giovanni is not in the hand, there's some major trouble here. Right? Cuz Cyrus can just win the game. So not seeing a Geo come down, I don't know. I don't think that this is a slow roll. I think this is a legitimate they don't have it. Misty runs these best of one formats. Yeah, Sush, like Misty is tough. Nid was playing in his sleep. Oh, hey, nice, nice, nice. Sometimes I play Pokemon Pocket when I sleep as well. Damn. Oof. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you choose here. It's just game no matter what. Yeah, you just go ahead and Cyrus here. And the Palkia player is gonna squeeze a victory out right here. Okay. So here we go. Let's see if I can update this. Okay. Right. Let's see. Might be 7. Yeah, it's 7. Okay. Individual scores are up. By the way, we've got another 18 trainer mirror match here. I guess technically it's 7 and 1 here. Okay. All right, here we go. Everything good on the scores, everybody? I didn't update the main score, did I? There it is. Okay. So again, it's a race to 10 for those of you who may not know the way that this game plays out in terms of the way that this GGB league plays out. Remember, it's race to 10. You've got 5 teammates that show up. They each can bring 2 decks. Once your deck loses, it is eliminated, and the next teammate or the next deck that you brought enters the arena. Now, keep in mind, once you lose twice, your player is eliminated. So if you lose once, you got 1 more life left. Misty doesn't make a difference in best of 1 or best of 3, LOL. Hey, dude, hey, Misty has been dominating. Misty's on Psyduck only. Classic. All right, let me try to catch up with the game state here. So Articuno's already going in. Looks like the Palkia in the back is going to be the play in terms of what Pokemon to power up. This Arita is going to push the Palkia back to full HP with that Rocky Helmet. So Rocky Helmet's going to get a lot of value. If I'm GQQQ underscore, yeah, this game doesn't look so great, right? You know, if I'm looking at this game from the Articuno player point of view, I'm not feeling so hot because I know that Palkia is getting built. I know that my Articuno is already struggling, and you know, I've got to worry about trying to get Sabrina would be a great card in my opinion, just so I can put a clock on the Palkia that has 3 energy potentially. So you know, I really do think that if you have Sabrina, you probably rip it, right? I think that that's probably the first thing that I would look at right here. And it does save you 20 HP of damage because you're dodging the Rocky Helmet by using Sabrina. Now, if they're debating whether or not to use it, I understand that. But I think if they had it, that would be almost an instantaneous play. By the way, the Misty decks matter in best of 1 since they have raised the floor, not Misty itself. Yeah, I guess that kind of is kind of emphasizing a little bit of what I was saying earlier, right? It's the fact that Misty gives you more ways to win than being the only thing that wins, right? In previous iterations of these Articuno and Palkia 18 trainer decks, dude, you depended on Misty straight up, a lot of the time. But now, because you have things like Arita, you have things like Pokemon Tools, you have Misty, you have Mars as a comeback card. There's just a lot more cards that can make it to where Misty doesn't have to flip heads every single time you play it, which matters a lot. So you know, when saying it raised the floor, right? It means the floor of these 18 trainer water decks has risen because now, you know, not only can they beat you with Misty, they can beat you without Misty. Whereas before, it was hey, you need Misty, you know, you have some toolbox cards, but you don't really have as many as you do now. right? That's an interesting play right there to put the energy on the Palkia in the active. I wonder the hindsight thought about this. Would it have been better to put the energy on the benched Palkia and still just hit for 30? Made the choice to play around Sabrina. Okay. Yeah. I can definitely understand that for sure. I guess the big question is, damn, that's a lot of heads. Did Mia's team, did GQQ have the Sabrina already? I guess is the big question, right? Do you retreat here and just, no, you don't retreat, right? You could. If you retreat, you could be denying a prize, right? So if you deny the prize here, now, again, it's kind of what I talked about earlier. Because you can't play two supporters in one turn, it kind of limits and narrows the options that the Palkia player is going to have. Oof. Finally rolled a tails. Okay. So now this is going to get really awkward for the Palkia player. There's still a chance to win, no doubt about it. But Arita right here could be a little bad in that it extends the life of Articuno on the bench, even if they come in and use Palkia's 150, right? So like a card like Arita is kind of tough if that comes down. Even a Sabrina or a Cyrus here makes things a lot more difficult. I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways that this Articuno player can kind of take control of this game. By the way, from YouTube, what up, Random Ways? And then Misty 18 Trainer almost never wins a big best of 3 tournament, always the 50, 100 man best of ones. That says a lot about it. I think you're right, Reapy, but I also think that like we have seen these 18 Trainer decks win a lot of best of 3 tournaments compared to the entire history of the game before, right? Like that's kind of what I would say is that 18 Trainer decks right now are the best they've ever been and still have been able to win best of 3 tournaments, even though like clearly best of 1, it does have a bit of an advantage. So red card comes down. I don't know. Did they play a supporter that turn? Okay, yeah, they played the Cyrus. Okay. Oh, no, an ad. I'm sorry. I see it on my screen. I'm going to pause so that way the ad does not completely kill this game. I want people to be able to see the ending of this game. So give it a second. Should be like 30 more seconds here. But I just want to make sure that because I didn't push the button on that ad. I did not do that. All right, should be coming back in a few seconds. Should be coming back. Okay, here we go. Let's rock and roll. All right, so Giant Cape is going to come down on this Palkia. I paused it so that way you guys wouldn't miss anything. So hopefully you're right back in. So that's the thing, Shiny. I've gone into the settings and I manually control the ads, but I don't know. Maybe I switched it. Maybe I switched it back. It's all good. Don't feel the necessity. I will try to protect you guys from the ads. Don't worry. I'll try to got you. So dead Pokeball comes down. You need a hill. Otherwise, Giovanni is a very scary card. So there's the Arita. So Blizzard over 2 turns is going to deal 160, and that's going to be enough for Arita and 1 potion. So there is pretty much no healing out of this, and I think both Misties have already been used. So I think that like we're in a weird scenario where like the game is already checkmated. I think that's where we're at. Yeah, they're definitely stronger than before and might get stronger with cards like Red coming in. Red is fascinating. Red just might straight up be an upgrade over Giovanni in these 18 trainer decks. You just might just take out Giovanni and just put in 2 reds. It's very real. So basically there's no more heal left for GQQQQ, but that Cyrus for extra bonus points, right? Because now you Blizzard this one. It's got the most energies. That takes away that win condition, right? So now there's no more ultimate attack that this Palkia can unleash. And it looks like Nid has finally been dethroned after many Misties and many successful comebacks against multiple decks. It looks like Articuno is going to take this and eliminate Nid after a fantastic run. So let's update these scores. Now it's going to be, I believe, /U coming up. And I'm going to update the score and then use the restroom really quickly. So 7-2, pretty good run. And again, like looking at the momentum, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this should be 4. Alrighty, I'll be right back. Back just in time. Look at that. I timed it perfect. Nailed it. Okay, so here we go. Remember, GQQQ cannot change decks, so they are going to be locked in with this Articuno EX deck. And they're going into a Dialga Arceus deck, right? It's the way it looks off the start. And Dialga going first. If you're a Dialga player, obviously don't like to see it. Yeah, if GQQQ can win some games and stem this momentum, that would be fantastic for the Mia's Stardust Princesses. Pretty decent start. Although again, going first with Dialga is going to be tough sometimes. Yeah, that's a good Misty flip. So Misty is striking back and hitting for 80 right off the bat. Yeah, so now you definitely Yeah, you can't trust Misty. She'll go help the other homies. Yeah, right here I think the debate is whether you giant cape, right? And like, yeah, that's a valid question, right? So if you cape right here, you're going to lose to Giovanni. But if you don't cape, you're guaranteed to lose to Giovanni and they can play another supporter. They decide not to cape there. And again, like, what is the right line right there, right? What is the correct line? What is the line that gives you the highest win percentage chance? And I want to say you probably cape there. I want to say you probably cape. Yeah, I think, and like I think the biggest pushback against that is like cape is going to help you get your last Pokemon to survive longer because they are damage capped at 80 damage, right? Like without Giovanni, they're damage capped at 80. So at most you're taking 90, right? So cape along with Arita can prolong your other Pokemon as opposed to putting cape now and then just saying, hey, if you have Giovanni, I just lose to it and I lose a Pokemon tool that could help me come back in this game. And so the knockout is secured there. Articuno number 2 is being pumped up on the bench. You're facing a little bit of an energy deficit. Mew EX noticeably worse in this matchup than it would be against Palkia, which is a little bit of an interesting question, right? Like, is because Mew exists in these Arceus Dialga decks, is it better to bring Articuno 18 trainer as opposed to Palkia 18 trainer just because you know that there's going to be more Mew in this, format, right? It's a valid question. And I would venture to guess that that's probably why some people decided on Articuno versus Palkia. Is, hey, we know Mew EX is devastating, so Mew EX is less devastating against Articuno. I think that would probably be my only guess as to why that choice was made. They're choosing to ramp the Arceus, which obviously, again, makes sense. And now the question is, do you deny the prize, right? Like, you can deny the prize here by just going into Articuno. But again, if you deny the prize, right, like assuming Arceus comes in, like you still are going to take 20 damage attacking into Dialga because it has that Rocky Helm. So there's not really a way to get away from it. So Sabrina comes down and forces the switch to Mew. And now Blizzard happens, puts the Mew on a clock. Obviously, Budding Expeditioner is not a real card in this format, or at least in this deck list. Double Leaf, Cyrus, and Giant Cape. So a lot of options. Every option, really. You could go back into Dialga and start ramping. And that is going to be what they choose to do. So Cyrus is going to be really good to close this game out. The question is, can the Articuno player get to the point where Cyrus is just automatically game? Because the way it's looking, okay, so there's the Cyrus. So they're just going to get right to the Cyrus. Yeah. So Cyrus comes down, secures the game because they already had 2 points. Okay, so that's one win for GQQ. And suddenly, the Stardust Princesses are back in the game. All right. So you're seeing on the screen they're getting ready to go with Weavile. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. Dude, I wish that I turned the playback speed on because I cannot apparently get to the right place. Okay. But I think you guys already saw what happened. There's going to be a Misty turn 1, and that Misty is going to go hard. So I think this is the first time we've seen this deck make an appearance. And it is going to be /U piloting Weavile and Darkrai going up against the Articuno 18 trainer deck. So opening Darkrai here. Obviously opening Articuno. And here we go. Yeah, Igor on YouTube. Yeah, this is basically like Clan Wars. A lot of the people that are like the people that are running this specific league, actually, they do it in other games as well. I believe it's in Duel Links is what they came from. So yeah, you're seeing a lot of elements of that team battle, that clan mode, Clan Wars type thing. So Misty hits 2 heads. Double Darkrai, no Weavile or Sneasel. So this is a little threatening already. Assuming, Darkrai on the bench is going to get powered up. Yeah, so this is Igor, same thing, right? This is pretty much the same format. Might even be the same people. We just had a gnarly thunderclap outside. Yeah, /U forgot the Weavile line. What's going on, man? 2 heads is pretty much a good game. Yeah, the 2 heads is just the worst, right? It's you can make the argument, hey, maybe if I start Darkrai active and then I draw the Weavile line, I can fight back. But the fact that there's no Weavile and you're going to be super slow just getting to your attack as the Darkrai player, it just feels really bad. The other way to look at this matchup too is you have a deck that is fast. Weavile Darkrai, it's supposed to be good because it's so fast. But just right now, you look at this matchup and you're just not fast enough, right? Just not fast enough. And I mean, your hand is a lot of dead cards, right? If you look at this hand and you think about this matchup, well, Cyrus is a finisher more than anything. Leaf is dead because I'm not going to be using it. Probably unless there's some really weird situation for the rest of this game. And Giant Cape is hopefully going to get me enough HP to squeak out a win. Like that's essentially what you're looking at right here. I mean, and it's a very tough situation to be in. And like the thing about these 18 trainer decks too is like their hand is just full of toolbox cards, right? Like their hand is filled with like, oh, okay, I need heal, so I'll play at Rita. Oh, I need, to thin my deck, so I'll get my second monster, my second Pokemon with my Pokeball. Oh, I need to deal more damage. Let me just play this Giovanni. Like it's just a handful of toolbox cards, most likely. Yeah. Or hey, I'll just use Cyrus to force a switch, and now Blizzard puts them on a 1-turn clock after I hit them right now. Yeah, and is this Darkrai 18 trainer? Yeah, I mean that's what it feels like. Yeah, I mean you just hit Blizzard right here. I mean I don't think there's any reason to put a tool down on the Pokemon on the bench unless it's I guess unless it's like Rocky Helmet. Maybe that makes sense. But I think right now like the game is in such a hard position for the Darkrai player to come back. I think you're pretty safe either way. So they do have the Rocky Helmet. They put it down. But again, like right now, the Darkrai player is going to be able to deal 80 right here. Yeah, deal a total of 100? It's just not going to be enough. I guess this is a good example of like red. Or like red being a pretty good card. I mean, yeah, this is just you're almost out of options here. Yeah, you put Cape down on the bench so you can survive one more Blizzard and not just like insta lose. Do you need a meteor hitting their house? Yeah, I mean this. I don't even know if Darkrai plays Potion. I mean, Potion could have been nice. Yeah, one player has Misty and one player, clearly just cannot play anything like Misty. And like granted, like I said, I mean, this deck is supposed to be fast, right? Yeah, that's going to be game. Okay, so GQQ. Slashing through some of these members from Sun Clan. And now we're going to see GQQ go up against Magikarp. So we're down to, let's see, GQQ has 1 life left. And let me make sure I update the W's to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should be 6 to 7. All right, let me go to Twitch and make sure that there's not an ad that's about to come on. Okay, 20 minutes since the last ad. We should be good. Oh, I hope that doesn't come on. If it does, we'll just pause the game again. I hope new red, the supporter card will make 18 trainers stonks go down. Yeah, like it's tough because like red is definitely going to make those cards a little bit better as well. Let me see if I can run the ad on Twitch now. Just get it out of the way so that way we're not missing anything in the game. MBB, if your team was playing in the finals, would you have considered bringing 18 trainer Pachirisu? Man, that's a great question. That is a great question. For one, I hope that the members of teams on the chat can also answer you as to why they didn't bring Pachirisu 18 trainer. From my point of view, I don't think it's one of the best decks, so I don't think that I would have brought it. I don't think that I would have brought it for those reasons. Like, I think I would have just rather have brought either some combination of Arceus Dialga and like maybe even just 2 Arceus Dialgas. Like, I might have just brought 2 of those and just said, hey, I'll just go toe-to-toe against these 18 trainer decks and against the fighting decks that are trying to counter. Because like, again, like, the biggest problem is, like, dude, the 18 trainer Pachirisu deck just does not have great metrics against a lot of the other decks. So, like, while it may be awesome against these 18 trainer decks, it just, like, may almost be an insta-lose in some of the other matchups. And, like, by the way, so we're seeing, let me double check this on my information. So this is Gyarados Manaphy. So, like, the other way to think about, like, building lineups in this matchup, or in this game too, like, in this setting, you have to kind of classify your decks. One is going to be a counter, and one is just going to be, like, in your face, I win games. Like, that's typically the way you, like, view a lot of lineups. It's like, I'm either playing a deck that counters a bad matchup for my team's lineup, or I'm going to play the best deck in the format and just hope that it does what it does. Does that make sense? Like, I think that that's kind of the line of thinking when you talk about building lineups. And, every now and then you'll get a counter deck that can beat, 2 of the other top decks, right? And so, like, that's why you want to bring counter decks as well as, like, the best deck in the format. And so, again, like, so the best deck in the format, Arceus Dialga. Like, in terms of, like, quote unquote best. So now you have the decks that beat it, right? And you kind of, like, try to decide, do I just want to bring nothing but Arceus Dialga, or do I want to bring decks that can, like, take it on and maybe beat another big deck in the format? By the way, so yeah, meta gravitates around Arceus Dialga right now. So you basically build your lineup around this deck and what beats this deck. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was trying to explain with the counter and the big deck in the format. And then 140 HP with Cape is too low. Arceus plus Geo kills it. So that's another reason why Patchy is kind of, like, tough. And then why not send Gyarados Gyarados Manaphy earlier? Because Gyarados can wall Articuno EX and, like, immediately revenge kill it. That's a great question, right? And for now, you're going to face, so you need to bring some counters, Gallade / Rampardos, and so you also need to bring a deck that beats the counters. So, yeah. So, basically, like, you have your big deck in the format, you have your counters, and then you have the decks that can beat the counters, right? So you have to balance it out there, right? I think in the early days of us discussing this stuff, we called it counter, if that makes sense. Yo, what's going on, Just Thunder? Yeah, the CC. First Articuno to not open Double Misty. Tough one. By the way, making sure everything is updated on my screen. Perfect. And we considered Dialga to be a stronger counter. In how many hours will the registration open? Are you talking about the GGB? Because I think you're talking about maybe season 2. Yeah, for season 2, I want to say it's supposed to be. I want to say it's supposed to be on the 24th of March, but depending on where you are in the world, it might already be the 24th. So hopefully we can have somebody in the chat that can post maybe a time of it. Yeah. And by the way, Kieho is saying that they tested Packy 18 trainer. It didn't even really counter water, which is kind of crazy. Oh no. Yeah, that's going to be it. So this one's wrapped up. Yeah, that's a quick game. And obviously none of what they're doing matters right now. So we're just going to update the score. And then probably fast forward to the next game if possible. Okay, so GQQ is going to finish, I believe, 3-2. And Magikarp is off to a 1-0 start. So that's going to eliminate GQQ. And now the pressure is on because this is the last player for Mia's Stardust Princesses. So in order to win right here, they're going to need to rip off 4 wins out of the next 5 games, right? 4 wins out of the next 5 games because they can lose 1, but they can't lose 2. So they need 4 wins out of the next 5 games. For some reason, when I do the peace sign, I get balloons. And I have no idea how that... The first time that happened to me was like on Ursi's stream like maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I guess 2 weeks ago. Let me fast forward a little bit. I think we got everything updated. I think there should be no ads. So let's, oh, hey, I don't even need to fast forward. We're here. So level 50 player. By the way, on the YouTube chat, it's a hard counter to water when water on variants can outpace you. Yeah, I think like the problem is Patchy is just like not good enough against other things. You know what I mean? Double thumbs up. Does double thumbs up do anything? Oh no. Hold on, let me. So that's how we trigger the thumbs up. Huh. Wink at the mustache is fake. Dude, the mustache is 100% real. 100% real. Yeah, Gallade has been a player in this format for a few weeks now. Obviously, it's been great in the tournament format as well. Gallade is definitely good. Definitely good. So we've got a... By the way, big shout out to all the followers and subscribers, both on both platforms. I appreciate you all. The community for the GGB has been great and very great about supporting GGB, getting more eyes on it. I'm hopeful that hopefully, you know, my small platform can help make that growth kind of go up even a little bit more. I think this is a great format. I think it's very fun. And most of all, like, this is the most important part. And I want to make sure everybody hears this. You can trust the organizer, right? Like the moment that you know that you can trust the organizer, that prizes will be paid out because you are dealing with, you know, a substantial amount of money to some people. Like, that's the most important part. When there's trust there, it makes it a lot easier to jump in because, you know, for some people, $10 to join a team is a lot, right? So again, just depending on how the entry fee plays out, or plays out, however it's voted, it's good to know that, hey, the track record for this organizer has been good. They're not running off with people's money. Like, that's such a huge deal. But right now, it looks like we've got fighting deck. I'm going to go ahead and put the label on it as Gallade and Hitmonlee going up this Gyarados variant. So, like, very tricky situation here because obviously Magikarp could be KO'd by either Hitmonlee or this Marshadow. And, like, that's the tricky part. So 15 hours and 15 minutes from now. So just under, I hope that helps you at least have a timer on it, because it's hard for us to know, like, the correct time for your time zone. So, by the way, right there, couldn't you have just saved an energy? Could have just saved an energy and just used Leap Out. I don't know that that's going to matter, but... Oh, yeah, but it risked the Hitmonlee. Okay. Yeah. Good call. Good point. Very, very 100% significant. Yeah, so registration starts in about 15 hours for Season 2, and the actual season will start on May 5th, so Cinco de Mayo. So shout out to the Cinco de Mayo celebrators. Not only will you get to have Cinco de Mayo be a celebration, you'll also have the ability to celebrate the start of the new GGB format. Giovanni comes down, knocking out that Manaphy. No energies on board for the Gyarados player. This is going to take a Misty to save this game. You're going to obviously send in the Palkia here, have it stall for time. Yeah, this is you're treading in dangerous waters right here as the Palkia and Gyarados player. And the thing is here, if you do go with Rocky Helmet, the amount of attacks that Marshadow is going to need to KO this Marshadow, or excuse me, the amount of attacks that Marshadow is going to need to KO this Palkia, it's actually going to need to heal, or else it will, it will recoil and knock out itself. But the Hitmonlee shows up. Oh, this list doesn't play Misty? Oh, no. Yeah, so there's not going to be a Misty to save the day. Okay, so Hitmonlee is going to start applying pressure, I assume, to the Gyarados. So this is very dangerous waters, pun intended, for the water player. The anti-red card propaganda is wild and rampant, but the second there is a streak event, everyone is rocking red card in Mars. That's kind of funny. I bodied a Venusaur EX deck, but he double Mars to me. Ooh, tough one. We are also already at triple the prize pool of Season 1, and there's still space for more teams to join in. That's awesome. So this makes GGB the biggest prize pool pocket tournament by a huge margin. So good to know. Yeah, outside of having a Ralts on the board, getting ready to evolve, this is like textbook for what this fighting deck wants to do. Just chip damage, have Marshadow is kind of like your counter to whatever they send out here. If once they get that knockout, finally Ralts comes down. You can basically, Gallade is now one energy attack away. And then so is the Marshadow. And that Gyarados is now in range. Arita might have something to say about that, though. I need to make sure I'm looking at the other screen here. Okay, good. So Arita is continuing to be a factor, healing these water Pokemon. Kirlia comes down. The second energy's on the Kirlia. Gyarados is one turn away from attacking, but they are going to need some help here, right? They're going to need a Leaf to get out of the active because that Palkia is not getting KO'd anytime soon. Oh, it's Arita, dude. It's Arita, 100%. I'm kidding. I don't know. How do they say it in the shows? Ita? Oh, gosh, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. Irida? Irida sounds... No, I don't like the way that sounds, dude. Arita sounds so much better. Come on. Arita? That's where it's at. That's where it's at. So, you know, going double energy on the Curlier right there is a big deal because Gyarados coming in, it could have discarded the energy on Curlia and put it at 0 energies. So it was good to go ahead and just have it ready. And now, unfortunately, Gyarados is just not able to survive this hit. So that is going to wrap up this game. So Zenith is going to take the first W. Yeah, Magikarp playing Gyarados. So it is now 1-0 for Zenith and 1-1 for Magikarp. And that pushes this up to 7, I believe. So 7 right here. Okay. I need to keep an eye on Discord and make sure. Okay. All right, hopefully. Yes. Okay, so I've got to start downloading the other match right here because it's in another file. So let me get this going on the side. Might be seeing a little bit of lag right here, but let me just go ahead and download this. And close this out. Okay, so we got a little bit of a different deck here. All right, we should be good to go here. Okay, we got a little bit of a different deck here. So it looks like this is going to be a Arceus Carnivine list. So Arceus Carnivine going up against Gallade Hitmonlee. In terms of favorited right here, I'm not sure on this matchup. I am not sure what this matchup is. I haven't looked at this matchup data. I'd have to remember it. Let's see. Uriata makes sense if you think about the Japanese katakana reading. Huh. Hard to compare team prize pool in a pay tournament with 4 months of playtime with 1 day free tournament. But yes, even season 1 is technically the bigger prize. Yeah, good point. Has any card been viciously dodging you? I've been playing since beta, mainly pulled on Charizard, but I only have 1 genetic Apex Magikarp. That's actually kind of crazy. I think I have like most of the cards that I don't think there's like 1 card in particular. I'll tell you 1 card I don't have a lot of. The Healing Shaman. That's 1 card I noticed I don't have a lot of. Because I play across, I have a main account that like I pay for the monthly subscription or whatever. And then I have 2 free to play accounts. So out of all those accounts, so 3 total, I have 1 Healing Shaman. Or actually, I might have 2 total. Yeah. Let's see. Marshadow active is always kind of sketchy. Yeah. Grass favored. Eggy is so good. Pokeball first. We just predicted you guys would bring one. We tested all 3 variants of grass and could never beat it with Weavile. Yeah, if we drew Arceus, we would Sabrina and attack instead of research. For the most part, though, we predicted your lineup exact. Ooh. They were mind readers. So we're staring down double Ralts. Carnivine is doing its job being an early aggressor. And putting the Gallade player in a little bit of a clock, right? Yeah, so Carnivine here. So this is going to be Carnivine, Executor, Arceus. Okay. Yeah, Yoko, there's some weird accounts, right? That get just like pull the same card over and over. Like I legitimately have 8 Mew EXs. And then like 1 is Crown. So on top of that, I have 8 like regular EXs for Mew. And then I have 1 golden, so 1 Crown, and then 1 Rainbow Rare. All on, 1 account. So I pulled a bunch of Mews. And then I pulled a bunch of Gallades too. But Gallade ended up being okay, after the next set came out. 1 energy on each of these Pokemon with a Rocky Helmet. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot going on, and that Erica is going to extend the life of this Carnivine and make it even more annoying for Zenith up here on the top of the screen. Like one of the things that's a little nerve-wracking here is like, that Arceus is going to be a threat. And obviously, Executor EX is like 1 turn away from attacking at all times. So like this is pretty nerve-wracking. I would say that the grass player is in a fantastic position. I mean, like it is in the driver's seat for sure. But yeah, that turn you needed to find Curlia. Hopefully they find it at least this turn. Like if they don't find it this turn, then this game might be over very quickly. Okay, so they found Curlia, so that's good. And they're going to Mars right now, send them down to 2 cards. And no attack because they don't want to teleport out of the active. So now, yeah, you evolve here. The energy probably goes. Yeah, it goes on the Executor, so that way Gallade can't, dance all over the Arceus. So now you are in position to line up Gallade versus Executor EX. And Executor EX loves to see Gallade, right? It's only, obviously 90 damage is not anything to laugh at. But it's significantly better to see 90 damage as opposed to the 150, the 130, the 110 even that Gallade can do against a lot of the Pokemon in this matchup. And also, even with that Rocky Helmet, Gallade is still going to have a lot of work to do on this Executor EX, and still they need to find a way to get 3 points. They have none right now. The cape on the Carnivine is, I would assume, is to like prevent something like a Cyrus or a Sabrina, and then following that up into KOing the Arceus. Because 70 damage is not going to knock out the Carnivine, right, on the bench. So right here, only 90 damage. Gallade out there. Gallade against the world. I think because if you Cyrus, it doesn't prevent the Cyrus, but it prevents the Cyrus from being a knockout, I think is the point. Yeah. Because they wasted the energy by retreating. So 40 damage into this Gallade. So Executor is going to be KO'd, right? So Executor gets KO'd right here. But unfortunately, there's no way to get more damage on that Carnivine on the bench. So you can't even go Hitmonlee and try to get into it that way. You are hoping to find Potion or Cape if you play it. And I don't know that they play those cards, right? Because obviously, like, 130 from the Arceus is going to KO the Gallade. If there's a Potion, it could stay out of range. Potion, it could stay out of range because even a Giovanni would not get there. I think this is the most energy Gallade has ever had attached to it. Okay, here we go. So Arceus EX comes in, and you know that all they need is a Pokemon right here, right? Okay. So they didn't find a Pokemon. So they're going to have one more turn to find a Pokemon, right? Again, 5 energies. That's the most energy Gallade in the history of the game has ever seen. It's got so much energy, it has no idea what to do with its hands. That's got to be the case, right? Okay, so right here, there's the other Pokemon to seal the game. Man, they had extra chances to find a Potion to get out of that 130 range. I don't know if they play Potion or Cape, but yeah, that's the best you could do. So, Igor, the reason why the Arceus player didn't attack is because if they put an energy on the Arceus, it's going to immediately get KO'd by the Gallade, right? Because you know, like the weakness and then a Geo, it could be KO'd, right? Because I believe it's 20 energy, 20 damage per energy, right? Let me make sure I'm not making stuff up. Yeah, Carnivine was at 80 health with no energies attached. Yeah, so 3 energy would put it at 130 plus the fighting weakness. Yeah. So you got to be a little careful there. Okay. So that is going to set us up. Let's see. So Arceus Carnivine wins there. And I'm going to try to run ad right here because we're down to the last few games. So let me make sure I get the ads ready so that way we don't have any more interruptions. And let's get this next game going. Okay. So QuickTime. And it looks like we're going to get right into it as soon as this ad is over. So let me make sure that this ad finishes up. About 30 seconds remaining. But again, hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to go ahead and cast the GGB finals. Obviously, would be amazing if this was live and everybody was, tuned in. But again, out of like, a lot of respect for the players and wanting to make sure that there's no funny business, we're just here to make sure that nobody can, stream snipe when, the finals are on the line or anything like that, or even be tempted to do that. So that's why we got it set up this way. I'm very excited about the future of what the GGB League does. GGB League. Yeah, you can say it that way. Okay. But again, really cool to see something like this. I hope that you have found a way to enjoy this format. It's a little bit different than what we've seen in some of these tournament formats. And I think the gameplay is as high as it can be for almost every single one of these games. Let's get to this game. We can already see it being set up. We've got a Carnivine staring down an Arceus EX. And, both teams have a very good shot at winning this. However, it is worth noting that with that last W, I do believe I need to update the score because they are one win away, the Sun Clan, from securing a victory. So 7-9 right now is the score. So that means the Zenith is going to need to rip off 3 wins in a row. So going to be tough, but the first thing is first, you got to win this first game, right? You got to win this first game. You got to put everything out the back, win one more game. One game at a time is the way you got to look at it. And it looks like Dialga versus Arceus is going up against Arceus and Carnivine. So Carnivine making an early appearance, putting that early pressure is a big deal. Very tough to deal with. I can't think of a better way for the Carnivine player to open up right here. If I'm the Carnivine player right here, I'm very excited with the way that this game has opened up. I know that although there are cards like Shaman and Potion, that this is a great start in terms of the way things are looking. And, right now I'm going to be able to have time to put energy on my Arceus EX as well, the way things are looking. Looking at my hand, I'm going to have access to Cyrus as well. So if they decide to pivot out, I'm going to be able to bring it back into the active. I also have Erica to extend the life of my Carnivine if I choose to go that direction. In all reality, that may be the way to go. And then I've got Leaf just in case I need to, send in one of my EXs and then Leaf right back out of the active. This Sabrina is trying to bait the Arceus into the active, I'm guessing. But a little bit of problems here with the stream. There we go. We're back. I got it figured out. Don't worry. Okay, so they're just going to leaf the Carnivine that got Sabrina'd out. They're going to put an energy on the Arceus. And now Carnivine is going to town on this Arceus EX. Now, it is worth noting that there's a great chance that this Carnivine is going to get knocked out right away. Yup. Now the question is, do they have the other potion? There's the other potion. Yeah, I agree that it was definitely a stall strat. Or a stalling Sabrina, basically. Okay. So Arceus takes the KO right there. And don't worry, I'll try to fast forward and stuff if we run into any issues. Interesting. So if you cape the Carnivine here, it could maybe survive a hit from Arceus. Maybe. But that's only if they don't have another Pokemon. So it's probably not worth the investment. And here, I think the energy was supposed to go on the Carnivine. I think that was the quote-unquote misplay. I think that's what they're talking about in Twitch chat. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay. Okay, so yeah, recording is good. We got it back. And the Shaman heals. So now, the reason why that's tricky is because the way that it was set up before, you could have sent in, you could have done 50 right here with the Carnivine, sent in Execute, and then evolve to Executor, right? If you evolve to Executor there, then, they would be at 30 health right now. They would be at 50 health right now. So they'd be at 50 health right now. I think the biggest problem that they could run into, like Sabrina's already been used, but a second Sabrina obviously would be lethal. And they're going to go into the Arceus right now. Okay. So they're only going to be able to do 90 damage right here. And so again, not attacking with that Carnivine the previous turn is going to be kind of the issue. Because this Arceus is just going to keep getting extra damage in. Oh, no. I see the ad. No. Okay, we paused. Dude. Okay. Okay, we're back. I unpaused. Dude, I ran the ad already. What's going on with... Okay, anyways. All right. So we're back. Same game state. Nothing changed. I got you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's anything different that you do there if you're the Dialga player. Okay, so they're going to leaf out of the active and just be vulnerable to Cyrus down the line, right? So the Giant Cape, it can go on Executor, but obviously you needed to be able to heal Arceus somehow, but you can't. And again, like, it does kind of come back to the Carnivine play that they talked about in Twitch chat. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know that you win the game, but the game is not just like an insta lose to Cyrus right here. Like it kind of is right now. And like even if they don't have Cyrus, you know, there's a good potential that they can still like, you know, win without Cyrus, but like obviously Cyrus just makes this the easy way. Cape on egg looks weird. Did I imagine Executor EX actually wearing that cape too? All right, so Mars. Okay. So there's still life, right? There's still life. There's another Arceus. I don't know that it matters, simply because like it doesn't matter right now, but it will matter if Arceus has to come back into the active. The other reason why it could matter is if, hey, what if they're playing, you know, double Sabrina, right? So putting the other Arceus down makes sense. You know, and at this point, yeah, I mean, putting down the Execute probably can't hurt. And then just hoping you flip heads, right? Yeah, that's tough. Tough situation. Yeah, I think the coin flip definitely mattered right there. Because, like, if there's no Cyrus, yeah, it definitely makes a difference. So here's the energy going down on the Arceus and a Rocky Helmet. So now you should be in pretty good shape. The only scary card would be Cyrus, right? Because Cyrus, attach an energy to Executor, you retreat, and you can KO their Dialga. Yeah, just whiffed on the Cyrus. You had two out. You had multiple outs, right? And you had, you know, even with the Carnivine misplay, you still have multiple opportunities to potentially win the game. So like, hey, I mean that's you put yourself in still a decent position. It just so happened that, you know, even though you were able to do that, you still just came up a little bit short. Okay, so 8-7. And also, that finishes Magikarp's run. So both teams down to their last player. One team is on sudden death. If one of their players gets eliminated, they are done. So here we go. This is it. This is the here we go. So we're into it. Should be good. No ads should be interrupting us from here on out. We should be good to go, chat. 8-9 in the grand finals. A win right here would push it to a sudden death scenario for both teams. Gallade going up against Dialga Arceus. And again, Gallade is supposed to be able to handle this matchup. But when you open up Mars Shadow, it's a little worrisome. So a lot of things kind of working hand in hand here. Will the Stardust Princesses from Mia be able to come back from behind against the Sun Clan? And again, it's worth noting that Sun Clan has had the momentum for almost the entirety of the match. The only part where you would say it got, you know, they were losing was the beginning of the run with Kieho taking up that 2-0 lead. But since then, Nid really set some good momentum for the Sun Clan, and we're staring down a 8-9 matchup. Sun Clan, if they win one of these games, they are the champions for the first season. Mia Stardust Princesses can win 2 in a row if they want to be the champions of the GGB League. Both players off to a slow start. You know, it's a little bit pedestrian for both decks. It is worth noting that Dialga did have to go first from what I can see here and just kind of catching up. So obviously puts them a little behind. The Marshadow Gallade deck is looking pretty tough because there's no Ralts in their hand. They started with Marshadow. The only good thing going for them is that the fact that they went second, right? So this hand is looking very dangerous. You have to stall with that Sabrina. So here comes the Sabrina coming to stall. And you just have to pray that you can hang on, right? If your opponent drops a leaf, you know, the game is spiraling out of control. If your opponent doesn't have the leaf, you're still on a little bit of a clock. So there's multiple things working against this Marshadow and Gallade player. And if you're the Dialga player, the key is, do you have the leaf? Oh, no. Yup. Leaf comes down. Dialga's back in the active. And suddenly this game is, you know, one turn away from being over, basically. Chat said Marshadow is trying its best. Yeah, it definitely is, right? It's not going down without a fight. So there's 20 damage of Rocky Helmet damage. But again, the problem is you're going to need to find a Ralts ASAP. And even if you find a Ralts, Sabrina could just destroy those game plans. Let's hope they find Ralts. Oof. Hitmonlee. That is not the basic you needed. The only bright side is Hitmonlee can come down and you can I almost would have rather kept it on the bench and hit it with Hitmonlee. That's huh. Is anyone peeved in the game that none of the steel types are weak to fighting? Dude, Dialga. Dialga is the number one Pokemon that I look at and I'm like, dude, why are you not weak to fighting? But obviously, you know, it is what it is. Because like on in Pokemon Go, anytime I see Dialga, I'm immediately switching to Melmetal, right? Because I can superpower against the Dialga for super effective. Yeah, this is gonna be game, barring some insane comeback, right? Yeah, the Ralts is just one turn too late, right? Like there's no chance that this Ralts makes a difference. That's tough, man. Yeah, I mean, not even just having one leaf. It's having two leaves, right? In my mind, Lucario should be shredding Dialga, right? I mean, it kind of is, just indirectly. But yeah, like the fighting weakness against like some of these steel types is like, where are you? Yeah, it looks like this is going to go to a winner-take-all game. You couldn't have asked for a better grand finals, right? But there's no way that this Curlia survives, even when it does evolve. So this game is over, and we are going to be in the winner-take-all final game of the entire season for the GGB, the Global Gym Battle League. So no pressure embraced. You just need to win one game. And no pressure, Zenith. You just need to win one game. No pressure. By the way, thank you for the follow. Thank you for all the support in streaming this. And again, one more shout out to the team for running Virus and Company for running this incredible league that I definitely know is going to catch a lot of people's attention. If you saw the deck get queued up right there, it looks like we are going to run into Gyarados and Manaphy. So this is the third Gyarados and Manaphy list that the Sun Clan has brought. And the overall record for Gyarados has been 1-2 so far. And it has yet to face Dialga Arceus. So it's all going to come down to this. You worry about the bulk of Gyarados. Is it going to be able to sustain hits and eventually trade and get the win? Are they going to be able to line up that 1-1-2, one Palkia, one Manaphy, and then, the last KO being the Gyarados? If they're able to do that, could definitely spell some trouble. But we've got the stage set. Dialga is going first. So one negative for the Dialga player, and Manaphy is going to be going second. And you already can see the hand, right? You can already see the vision. You Pokeball into hopefully a Palkia origin form. You slap that Magikarp down on the bench. You charge both of them up. You pass. They can't, really put any pressure. Manaphy looks like it's going to have a snowball game. And I've said this so many times in my YouTube videos. One of the biggest things about Dialga and Manaphy is that if you don't answer them correct, within, a certain amount of time, they just snowball out of control and the game can get out of hand. The big curveball is that they just whiffed on finding the Palkia origin form. So with no other Pokemon on the bench, this Magikarp is out there all alone. However, there's no way for it to get any sort of damage right away. So again, Dialga is going to be a little bit slow because it went first. I mean, if you have Mars, you really don't probably want to rip it right now. If you have bench Pokemon, you probably don't want to put them down right now because, again, if you put bench Pokemon down, they could Sabrina stall you, and then you have to have the Leaf. The top-decked Gyarados, gigantic. That's huge. That might have just been game-winning. Now, I believe there's a great chance you see Rocky Helmet get placed. I would not be opposed to putting a Rocky Helmet on my Manaphy. But let's see what they decide to do. Because if you put it on the Manaphy and they Sabrina around it, then you're going to wish you had that Rocky Helmet on your Gyarados. If you don't put it down, their Dialga EX is going to survive that 140 attack. The correct line is probably... the safe play is probably put it on the Gyarados. The... gamble and try to win the game very quickly is probably put it on the Manaphy. However, it is worth noting, if you put it on the Manaphy, there's a good chance that, you could probably absorb 2 hits with it. Unless opponent decides to line up their Arceus with your Manaphy. So, I'm not reading chat right now, so I don't know if they had the Sabrina in hand. I'm sure we'll find out. But right there, yeah, it's just a very tough play. Yeah, Manaphy going second against Dialga 100% feels like you're cheating, Yoko. 100%. You generally want to have one helmet placed on Gyarados in this matchup? Yeah. And so it's hard to commit to Manaphy unless you have 2 in hand, yeah. And then we see a cape come down on the Arceus. So it looks like they're going to turbo the Arceus. Yeah, so they get the attack off, no rope. Interesting. I wonder why they put it on the non-caped Arceus. Oh, wow, they drew the Giovanni. Yeah, that's just filthy, man. I mean, yeah, that's just filthy. You know, like you're going to get the KO there. There's really nothing you can do. You know, part of me again does wonder, should the cape have gone on the Pokemon that you were going to put energy on? Maybe you have another cape so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's probably still not enough, because I don't know that it's enough. Would it have been enough? Was that I think the cape should have gone to the Dialga. Huh. Yeah, and Mew is just kind of not great in this matchup either, unfortunately. So they do have Leaf, but Leaf is just kind of denying the inevitable, right? You know, there's not a lot that Leaf is going to accomplish. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think at this point, at this point they're just trying to hang on, but unfortunately, you know, I just don't see this game turning. I think Gyarados being able to hit the board when it did, and then obviously the Giovanni, you know what I mean? Like that's just so hard to play around. And that's it. That's a wrap. Wow. So that's how the finals ends. You know, Gyarados ends up being able to seal the deal in an epic final game. So the Sun Clan is your Season 1 GGB champions. Shout out to the Sun Clan. Again, embraced, needed to win at least one game, and they were able to do so, knocking out the final player for Mia's Stardust Princesses. I'll update the scores to show the final score for both teams. And again, an incredible run by two talented teams that found a way to win against some of the top competitions that they encountered throughout the season and throughout the playoffs. Again, just a big thank you to Virus and the rest of his team for letting me cast this. I know it was a little bit different. I know a lot of you are used to seeing me on something like Ursi's co-caster stream, and obviously those are fantastic. I love when she allows me to go ahead and join in, but I was really happy to jump in on this, and hopefully we can bring more GGB footage similar to this. Maybe it can be live in the future season for GGB. Again, it's definitely worth looking at. It's a very cool way to play the game and increase your level as a player. I cannot stress this enough. I bet you all of these players that participated would say that they are 100% better than the first day that they started playing. Before the GGB League, I think being around other players makes you push the limit as to like how you see the game and how you play the game, because again, just getting feedback from players from around the world and some of the top players in the game helps you improve as a player. And again, I can't thank you all enough for tuning in. It's been a fantastic run, a little over, 3.5 hours of stream. So really cool that it, and that also gives you an idea of how long the time commitment can be for these battles. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate you. And I hope to see you around in the next one. And hey, again, thanks so much for tuning into the stream. I hope to catch you around more. But big shout out to all the teams that participated. And hey, I will catch you in the next one.